Hey y'all, so this is not the first time that those in America that hate American liberty and justice have risen up and try to strike fear in marginalized communities. So during the 1870s, racial violence was so prevalent in Kentucky that the federal government sent troops to state posts and stations in Frankfort and Elizabethtown. So here in Elizabethtown is where we are now. In the 1870s, a brash young U.S. Army general and a Civil War cavalry officer, famous for being wildly reckless in battle, was sent to Elizabethtown, Kentucky to put down the KKK that had been terrorizing the recently freed slaves in Hardin County and the rest of the state. Now, so here's where he stayed. He's at the Brown. You can see here it talks about it. Here we are, Brown Pusey House. And we're going to walk down to the square. We're going to walk down to the square and look down there where we got another sign. So this was the area that he would have been in. So when he was here in Hardin County, he brought his wife Elizabeth with him. All right, and so he was working to free this area from the Ku Klux Klan because it had been terrorizing, like I said, those recently freed slaves. And he brought his wife Elizabeth, and from 1871 to 1873, during Reconstruction, he was tasked with suppressing the Ku Klux Klan. And again, Custer lived here in the Brown Pusey House, one of the famous spots here in Elizabethtown. And he spent time in this area and all about hunting, acquiring fine horses, buying and using hunting dogs, maintaining a very lively social life. He even had so many horses and fine hunting dogs that he pictures himself being a very vain man, as being worthy of extreme admiration of all of us here in Kentucky. Well, his wife was not as fond of Hardin County. She once was known to have said that living in this part of Kentucky, that was very poor. She went on to say that the people were low and uneducated, and 3 or 4 rode the same horse. She even said the most active inhabitants here in Hardin County was a pig. Oh my gosh. Now her assessment of Hardin County reminds me of being stationed in Sicily and seeing a man ride a scooter with his wife on board. And behind him, the wife was cradling a baby in her arms. Their grocery bags were somehow lashed to the back of the Vespa scooter, and a small dog was riding right there into the man's feet on the floorboard of the scooter. Right, and all along, they were rocketing around town without a helmet. Now, I actually admire the spunk and veritable freedom of the poor and those that won't be held down by their circumstances. But of course, it's all in your perspective. Anyway, the U.S. Cavalry and a company of the 4th U.S. Infantry arrived in Hardin County in the spring of 1871 to limit the activities of the Ku Klux Klan and other regulator groups. The presence of the federal troops likely had a positive effect on quieting racial disturbances in the area, as little was reported in the 2 years that Custer and his men were stationed here. And this is also more than likely was probably when Reverend Allen Allensworth was preaching at the First Black Baptist Church located in 112 West Poplar Street near the town square, and the site of my previous video on Colonel Allen Allensworth. So we're going to look across the square here. It's right now they're doing construction, but there was, and I assume there is still a historical marker over there talking about Custer coming here and being stationed here. But unfortunately right now we can't access that area because they're doing work on the courthouse. They're remodeling it, making it into a bed and breakfast. But again, y'all, this is part of my district, District 3. A little section of it is here. And yeah, we'll talk more about all this.